On today's video, I will be sharing 7 adorable Christmas Dollar Tree DIYs. They're quick, they're easy, they're all budget friendly, and some will only take you minutes to complete. Bringing that cozy Christmas charm to your home has never been quicker, so let's get started. Dollar Tree has so many beautiful Christmas flowers and greenery, and I'm going to be making a little hanging Christmas swag using these adorable pine stems. I really like these, and they just look like they've just been picked from the snow. I'll be using about 3 to 4 of these, but you can definitely use more for a fuller swag. So first, I'm going to gather the stems, varying the heights so it kind of has a tier shape. I grabbed some nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and I'll be wrapping it around the stems. I use some hot glue to start it off and to hold it in place while I wrap. Before I finish and secure the ends, I take some jute twine and I use that to make a little loop, which I glue in the end, and this will be the hanger. I just finish it off with more hot glue to secure it in place. I thought I would add these frosted berries from this holly berry bouquet from Dollar Tree, so I just cut those out and I place a few of them on the greenery. I wasn't completely sure yet if I wanted to keep them or go without, so I didn't glue them down just yet. I place a bow right where the rope and the pine meet, and this ribbon is also from Dollar Tree, but I did get it last summer during their patriotic season. And then I add a few more pine needles above the bow, and the simple swag DIY is done. Now, if you want to create a swag with a bit more elegance and style while keeping it budget friendly, you'll like this next one. I picked up some Christmas picks at Hobby Lobby. Their Christmas items were 50% off, and the quality is just a notch better. I thought either of these would make an adorable little swag, but I thought I would go with this pine spray. I really love the color, and I think I paid just under $2 for one at Hobby Lobby. I'll be using 2 for this one, but you can certainly add more. So like the first one, I gather them together, making one a little higher than the other. I wrap the nautical rope around the stem. You can use hot glue to start it off, and some in between the ropes here and there to hold it in place. Before I get to the end, I make a little loop using some jute twine to make a hanger. And then I secure the ends with hot glue. I'm going to add a couple of these rustic gold bells. I got these at Hobby Lobby and they came in a pack of 6, and they were also 50% off. To put them together, I gather them together, placing one a few inches higher than the other, and then I wrap some jute string over the area where I'm holding them together, securing with some hot glue. And this will make that area look seamless. Now after looking at it, I decided I didn't want that nautical rope to cover the whole stem. I wanted some of it showing through, so I took it off and rewrapped it, leaving some of the stems peeking out. I also make sure to reattach the loopy hanger before hot gluing the ends. To attach the bells on the stems, I string through some jute string. These were actually a little thinner than the ones I used on the bells, and I tie them around the nautical rope, keeping in mind where I want the bells to hang. I want to add these pine cone picks from Hobby Lobby. It was a little bulky, so I pulled it apart from the stem, and I just place it right behind the bell rope, and I also secure it to the stem with some floral wire. I add some more mini pine cones, and I think these would have also looked nice if I painted a little white on it. And then I added some berries as well. I wanted to add a bow, and I had a couple satin ribbons that I wanted to try out. I really couldn't decide which one, so I tried both. These are from Walmart, and they're in the colors antique white and red wine. And this adorable little swag is done. I'm going to make a couple snowy candle holder jars. So I get some jars. The small one is from Dollar Tree and the larger one is an old pickle jar. I'll also be using some Epsom salt, which you can get anywhere including Dollar Tree. You'll also need some Mod Podge, and satin or matte works just fine. I'm starting with the bigger jar and I brush on the Mod Podge all over. You'll have to work fast because you don't want it drying out. But if it does, it's fine. Just go over that section again. And you'll want to apply a good amount, making sure not to miss any areas. I'm also avoiding applying the Mod Podge around the top rim because I will be adding something else on that area. So once that's completely covered, I grab a generous amount of Epsom salt and I sprinkle that over the jar, wherever the Mod Podge was applied. And I just keep sprinkling that until the jar is completely covered, and then I set that aside to dry. I do the same thing with a smaller jar, applying the Mod Podge all over as well. Because of the smaller size, this one was definitely easier to do. Then I just sprinkle on the Epsom salt all over the Mod Podge area. Now after it has dried, if there are any areas that didn't get covered or you missed it, you can go back and dab a little more Mod Podge over those areas and then sprinkle with the Epsom salt. So I just set that aside to dry. Once that's dried, I'm going to wrap some jute string around the top of the jars. The jute is from Dollar Tree and these were slightly thicker than their usual ones. I'll be using a lot of hot glue to hold this in place because of the glass threads of the jars that's protruding out. So I do use a lot of hot glue to hold it in place and keep it from unraveling. Now you can also tie a little ribbon with the jute string before adding some embellishments. I'm going to glue some Christmas greenery on the jars right on the top. So I use a little hot glue to hold it in place, and then I top it off with a little wood slice. And I got a pack of these at Dollar Tree. Now I love it just like that, simple and rustic, but you can definitely add some mini pine cones and berries and a little ribbon as well. I drop in some mini battery operated tea light candles, and this simple and charming DIY is done. For this DIY, I'll be using one of Dollar Tree's large 11.5-inch MDF snowflake. I'm going to stencil in some small snowflakes on the snowflake, and I thought this pattern was perfect. I get my stencils on Amazon and I'll have this one linked below. I'm only going to stencil the ends where it branches into 3, kind of looks like a little arrow, and everywhere else I'm going to leave it as is. I start by placing the stencil in the area just right before it branches out, or the tip of the arrow, and I'm just using white acrylic paint. So I stencil that snowflake in, making sure to dab out as much of the paint as possible. Thin layers is a key to prevent bleeding. And then I apply that in circular motions with my stencil brush. I'm going to apply a full stencil all around the snowflake first, so 6 times. That way it gives the paint a little time to dry before stenciling around it. After that, I'm going to add some stenciling on the rest of the ends, whatever can fit on those narrow ends, just to make it look pretty. I'm going to embellish using these Dollar Tree snowy pine picks. I pulled out the pine needles from the stem. I'll be using about 6 or so, and I start by taking 2 and forming it into an L, and then taking some floral wire to tie the ends together. And I'm going to make 2 of these. Then I take 2 more and I tie the ends together so that it lies horizontally, and then I just attach them together so it kind of looks like a star. In the center, I'll be placing 3 of these little snowy pine cones. These have a wire in the bottom, so it was easy to attach on the pine needles. I add a few berries and I place that in the center of the MDF snowflake, and I secure the whole thing with some floral wire. I attach a ribbon to hang, and this quick and easy DIY is done. For this DIY, I'll be making a little table centerpiece, and I'll be using 3 of these Dollar Tree wooden crates. Now this part is optional, but I'm going to add some color, and I'll be painting it in the shade Territorial Beige from Apple Barrel, thinned out with a little bit of water so that it goes on like a stain. So I apply that on the crates, and I'm just using a brush, and then I wipe it down right away. The color is going to dry much lighter than what you're seeing because it was thinned out with water. But you can definitely paint it any color, a darker stain, or even red for this time of year, or leave it as is. You really can't go wrong with whatever color you choose. You can glue these together permanently, but I'm actually not going to do that. I'm just going to push them together so that it's one piece with the option to keep them separate. I'll be using 3 of these battery-operated wax pillar candles that I got at Dollar Tree. These are really nice, and because of the wax, they feel like real candles. I'm going to place them inside each of the crates. I'll be using these pine stems again, and I'm going to pull out the pine needles. I use about 3 stems or bouquets, but you can make this as full as you want. And I just tuck those inside the crates surrounding the candles. How easy is this? Now you can keep it simple just like this. Personally, I love it just like this, or you can add some berries and pine cones as well. You can keep these together as one or spread them apart. Either way, this quick and simple rustic decor is beautiful. For this DIY, I'll be using a couple of these wooden dangling snowflakes from Dollar Tree. Each come with 4 snowflakes, so 8 total. I'll also be using a pack of those smaller wooden snowflakes as well. I'm going to make a wreath with them, so first I separate the larger snowflakes. And I place them in a circle. I'll be using 6 of these smaller snowflakes, and I place them in between the larger, making sure the ends touch the larger ones. I'm using wood glue to attach them together, and I'm just applying glue on the areas that will touch the larger snowflakes. Once it is completely dried, I turn it over and I apply a little hot glue on the back, securing it even more. I'm going to cover up any of the visible holes with a little bit of spackle. I'll be dry brushing some white paint over the wreath so the spackle will blend nicely. So I'm just dipping my brush in the white paint and then dabbing out the excess, and then I just apply the paint over the snowflakes, making sure not to go too heavy and letting the wood underneath show through. Now I thought it looked really nice with the white paint dry brushed, but then I changed my mind and I decided to paint everything white. So I just used a little round sponge brush, which made painting the whole wreath much faster. To embellish, you can add some berry picks or head to Dollar Tree's ornament sections. They have so many beautiful ornaments, and I'm going to be using this red and black Noel ornament. You can make a little hanger with some ribbon or twine. And this DIY is done, and I really love how it turned out. For the next DIY, I grabbed one of these wooden Christmas DIY kits from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be using the trees, and the rest I'll be saving for another project. I also grabbed these bamboo rings from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 2, and I'll be using the larger of the 2. I'll be painting the trees in the shade moss from Waverly chalk paint. So I brushed that on all over the front of the trees. Since it's chalk paint, it does go on quite thick, so I do just about 1 coat of it. After it's dried, I place the ring on top of the trees, lining it so that it's centered or close to it. And then I just mark the bottom, and then I trim out the area that's sticking out outside the ring. Then I just add a little wood glue right on the bottom edge. I place the ring right on top of the trees, lining up the bottom. I also placed that piece of wood that was trimmed out on top, just so that the ring lies evenly. Before I add the string hanger, I wrap some white string on top, just a few inches in length, using a little hot glue to secure it in place. Then I add the string hanger, trimming off the excess. Now you can add some embellishments on top, but I love how clean and simple this looks. For this DIY, I will be using this wood slice hanger from Dollar Tree and this beautiful poinsettia napkin from Dollar Tree. I'm going to Mod Podge the napkin onto the wood. So first I remove the hanger and the staples. I pour some Mod Podge over the wood slice and I just use a brush to apply that on all over, making sure it gets right on the edge. And then I set that aside to dry completely. I'm going to trim the part of the napkin design that I want to use, so I just use a small paintbrush and I dip that in some water and then I outline the image. Next, I gently tear away the excess napkin. To create a softer, wispy edge, I grab a small wooden stick, a popsicle stick works too, and I delicately trim the napkin's edges a little more, and this will give it a softer edge, blending the napkin nicely onto the wood. Since the napkin is 2-ply, I remove the extra layer on the bottom, and I place that and position that on top of the wood. By now, the Mod Podge has completely dried. I place a piece of parchment paper on top, and then I just iron over that with my mini heat press in the lowest setting. If you don't have a heat press, you can use an iron, otherwise you can just place it right on top immediately after applying the Mod Podge. I just love this iron-on method because it leaves you with a smooth, wrinkle-free surface. I get a little sanding sheet and I sand down the edges to remove the excess napkin. Just look at how nicely the edge of the napkin blends with the wood. Now this part is optional, but I also lightly sand over the napkin just to make it look a little scratchy and distressed. I'm loving how it's looking so far. Then I just apply some more Mod Podge on top, and then I brush that on all over to seal the surface. Now I think you can leave it just like that, but I'm going to raise it up, and I'll be using a couple of these wooden blocks from Dollar Tree. I turn the wood slice over and I add some glue on the blocks and then I glue them in place. And this quick, easy, and stunning DIY is done. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching these DIYs and want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my new videos. Until next time, bye!